Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coaches Go Social. Today we're talking all about digital organization. Now, digital clutter, your computer, all those things that you can kind of like hide from other people. And then you get on to your computer and then it's like, it's a mess. I know I feel like that sometimes. And if you do too, you're going to really love this episode today because this is going to be awesome. So I am really glad if you're watching this from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from YouTube. We're all over. Definitely get comfortable and sit down and make sure that you take some notes and ask questions too. This is definitely an interactive session. And I truly believe entrepreneurship is the ultimate journey in personal development. There is so many things that we can learn along the way that in our personal lives, in growing a business, that really helps us. And I really like to bring you those resources and those people that share the experience and expertise that they've learned to then help you grow your business and grow personally as well. So thank you so much for being here. And as you know, this past weekend, we welcomed in spring. It's the beginning of spring, although in San Diego today it's raining, which, that comes with the territory. I like to take this opportunity to do some spring cleaning. And by spring cleaning, I really mean like actually, like cleaning out your physical spaces, right? I really get a lot of joy in doing that, where you can really just get everything out of there and just like clean it up and get rid of the stuff that you're not using and just make it a clean, organized space. And we do that with our physical spaces. But what about doing that for our digital spaces? And that's why I invited my guest today, Alex Brzozowski, to help us understand how we can automate processes and help us get organized in our computer spaces that can be overwhelming at times too. I know sometimes I will create a file and download it and then it's gone, but then it's there and it just takes up space, and you want to keep all those things organized. So I can't wait for you to hear all about what she has to share today. And if you don't know already, I am the founder of Capitalize Social Media, and I'm all about live video. I'm all about giving you the strategies and the techniques that will help you grow your business in an organic way, which means no ads, no boosting, none of that kind of stuff. We're all about building relationships and creating opportunities to build those connections that help grow your business. And I like to do that by leveraging Facebook Live. So if you're interested in learning about Facebook Live and how that can help you grow your business, that is what I do. I'd love to talk to you about that more. So again, today, my guest is Alex Brzozowski. She is the founder of Be Organizing, and she's going to share with us her journey and how she helps her clients and gives us those really good tips and tricks to help us. So I'm going to bring her on in just a second. Before I do that, I definitely want to share that this Coaches Go Social is sponsored by Wave.video, and Wave.video is the easiest and best tool that I've found to edit your videos. Like, for example, I take all of my Facebook Live videos and edit them in little clips and parts into all of the rest of my social media platforms, and Wave.video makes it super, super easy. So you'll actually see their work in my intro video that I'm going to bring on in just a second, and right afterwards I'm going to bring on Alex. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Yay!
Yes, thank you so much, Amy, for having me here. I'm excited to be here and share just what we do and some awesome tips.
Yes, I'm excited for your tips, excited to learn everything that I can and share that with our audience too about how to get organized. It's spring, it's the time to do that, and yeah. I really want to jump into it. But before we do, please introduce yourself and let us know kind of your journey and your story and how you got to be where you're at today.
Yes, perfect. So I'm Alex Brzozowski, and I am the founder of Be Organizing. So I started, I have kind of an interesting journey. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. And in college, I went to this small little school called Butler University in Indianapolis. And there I studied sociology and criminology. I really was going for the legal world. And I had internships and things like that all through college that were in that space. Then when after I graduated, I moved out to San Diego, which is where I'm currently still at, but I jumped right into working at a law firm. And this was back in 2008, 2009. And I was at a bankruptcy law firm, of course, because the financial crisis was going on, or the housing crisis, I should say. And everybody was filing bankruptcy. And the law firm was 100% paperless. And it was a giant law firm. So that was really interesting to see, because back then it was even less likely to have a law firm like that. And even now it's still hard to find law firms like that. And then fast forward about a year into working there, I got offered a job at a smaller law firm where I was the sole paralegal for about 5 attorneys. And we practiced everything from wills, trust, probate, estate administration, civil litigation, family law, business law, things like that, mostly transactional. And again, so from a big law firm to a small one, and they were 100% paperless. So it was really cool to see how their systems and processes were working with being paperless, and like their client management, their project management, their to-dos, everything, and just the whole scanning process. But one thing that was really stuck with me was that these clients that we would work with, especially I ended up being the main paralegal once we started hiring more people because I couldn't handle all the work by myself. I was assigned solely to wills, trust, probate, estate administration, conservatorships, and business law. So like those two go kind of close together in some similar way. And we worked with so many people that, like their families would pass away, like somebody from their family or something like that, and they wouldn't know what was going on. They didn't know who had what banks, were open, passwords, so I remember like actually going into people's homes back then and taking out file drawers to figure out what was what, and they paid us to figure that out for them. So I would sit there and have to organize that information and really just put it all together. And then just administering estates and like dealing with properties across the country and just all these logistics. And people just had no idea what to do. And I was like, man, like we're also spending time just putting this together for them, and it's such a hard time for them. Like how awesome would it be if people were prepared for this and actually had this information together? And also, in businesses, like the businesses, it was amazing how many businesses that were well off, like doing very well, but they were a mess. Like all their stuff was all over the place. They didn't know where to find things. So we would be like, we need this. And they'd be like, I don't know. And so just kind of figuring that stuff out and helping them with that. And we were so organized on our end. And I was able to be part of the team to help improve our systems. And I kind of became the go-to for that and making life easier as things would come up and processes would change or whatever. And from there, I was like, man, I wonder if I could do something with this, because I stopped being, I know it sounds weird, but I stopped being challenged in the legal world, and I found out it just wasn't it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I thought it was going to be a little bit different, and I wanted more collaboration and working as a team with with clients and with our team in the office. And that just wasn't something, law is very much about sit in front of your computer and do what you're going to do, and that's it. So I decided to look into, I wonder if there's something I can do with this organizing. I didn't know what to call it at the time. I had no idea. And I stumbled across the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, NAPO for short. And from there, I started going to meetings and most of the people are home organizers. They don't even do digital organizing. And back then, this was in 2013 I started, or 2012, end of 2012 is when I started going to NAPO. And that's when I started my business. And I was still overlapping with the law firm because I didn't, I was still working there full time. I was just doing this on the side. And the market intent at the time, I mean, Amy, you know all about this, was about home organizing, like the physical space, of organizing. And so it was less about the digital space. So I was like, all right, I could do home organizing. Like that is obviously something I'm good at too, but it's not something that I live and breathe and everything like that. It never was, actually. It was something that I learned and I see the benefits, and that's what drives me. I see the benefits of being organized, and it's not about the process or anything like that. It's really about, for me, the results that organizing brings, which makes me also very different from other organizers because they just live and breathe just organizing, and they just love the process, and they just want to, it's like, yeah, they like the results, but like they really want to get their hands dirty and really want to get in there. And I'm like, no, the results are where it's at. So anyway, so all that to say is that I joined NAPO. I ended up leaving the law firm, started Be Organizing, and I started in mainly the physical space, and I would sell then digital organizing services. So I'll talk a little bit about what that is. And we actually, since COVID, I finally moved away from the home organizing space, just because that's what makes us different, is the digital organizing. Not, like I said, not many people do this. And so what we do is we create systems, processes, workflows, automation, anything like that to help create systems for you to organize, whether it be your email, your digital files, your photos, your passwords, your bookmarks, just name it, on your computer and your phone. So different apps, there's to-dos, there's notes, what to do with those. All those things need to have a place to go. And instead of just having them on your desk, or, I know a lot of people write notes down still, I still do. It's like, okay, now what do you do with this? And project management systems, things like that. So, we're aiming for something.
Oh, it's a great story. I love to hear how everything kind of worked in together. You went from like legal and like seeing how it all worked to wanting to do it yourself in that digital space. So I think I love hearing stories like that kind of, you look back and you're like, oh, it all makes sense now. So I'm really curious, wanting to share with my viewers and myself, really, I want to know more about myself too, about how we can use automation and what kind of things can we automate that will help us to really get a handle on our digital clutter.
So some of the things that we've automated are, especially for business owners, is calendaring. So reminders for clients, sending automated text reminders, email reminders, things like that. There's also the whole, like, once you get information, like I have a whole system set up that when somebody fills out a form, it goes here, and then it goes over, it goes into the CRM system, and then it goes into my email marketing system, for example. Like there's a whole chain that's happening, and it goes back and forth. So if somebody signs up on this platform, it goes the other way. If they sign on this platform, it goes this way. And a great program to use for that is called Zapier. I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard of that one, but there's also tools out there that automatically, like Acuity Scheduling and Calendly, they both have a lot of capabilities in terms of like emails, confirmations for meetings, putting it on your website so that you don't have to go back and forth, sending just a link to people, things like that, where people don't realize how much of a time saver that is. That was a big thing when I started expanding the company, that I was like, I don't want, our team of organizers to have to be worried about reminding our clients that they're going to be there tomorrow, or that they're, or like in this instance, we're 100% virtual. We have people now across the country that we work with because we are working solely remotely now. That's how we're doing it. And we have to like change it to their time zone and all those things that come into play. And these programs automatically help with that. So having that system in place and having those automations is just huge. Any way that you can find a way to automate is the better. So when you're looking at, I know one of my other tips is finding the right digital program and sticking to it. And part of that is really trying it out. Like we have so many clients that will come to us, just a little background, and they're like, oh, there's this program and this program and this program and this, and I think I'm going to try this. But then I tried that for a little bit, and then I switched over here because I thought maybe this would be better. And it's like, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Start with, what is your goal? Like, what's the goal?
Yeah.
What will make your life easier? Like, what are you trying to get from this program? Like, what is the main functionality that you need from this? And what does that look like? And then look at different programs, and no, you will not find the perfect one. Like everyone will have some sort of caveat, right? Like there's always going to be something that you might have to do a workaround with, and that's okay. But just, going based off that, it's like, what's going to hit the most check boxes? What's going to, what's going to be the one for that? And then go for it. Do it. Use it.
Just do it. And then, exactly. Don't keep changing it up all the time. Yeah, you get into big trouble that way.
And people aren't committed. And when you're not committed to using something, you're never going to know if it worked or not. You're just assuming because you weren't committed to it. So how do you really know? So really committing to that. And no, there's not. And there's this whole thing about apps are going to solve everything. And it's like, they're meant to make your life easier. They're not going to solve your productivity 100%. Right? So your productivity really comes down to time management. I'm a big advocate for utilizing your calendar and time blocking and organizing your time that way. And really, the reason why I go back to that is because as much as you use to-do programs and all these things, and everybody uses email, seems to use their email as their to-do list. And I'm a huge advocate for taking it out of your email and not keeping it in there as your to-do list, because you might miss something if you don't, get it done or don't see that email the day that it's due. So really pulling it out and putting it into the calendar of when you're going to work on it. And, dedicating that time. Like when you see it, it's like, it's a doctor's appointment with yourself. Like you need to be that committed to doing it, or else it's never going to happen. So really prioritizing your time, because as soon as you don't, you're not going to, so again, it's my whole point is that apps aren't going to solve that for you. You're still going to have to do the work, but they can help make your life easier. So utilizing that calendar, having that sync across your different platforms, choose a calendar that's easy to do that with, first of all, right?
Yeah, I like how you said Acuity, because that's the one that I use, and I love it so much. And it was like, if you're scheduling appointments with your clients by going back and forth trying to figure out a time, that might seem like not so much time then, but if you're doing that over and over and over again, you're wasting a ton of time. Like, how easy is it to just be like, oh, let's schedule a time together. Okay, here's my link. They pick a time. It gets on your calendar. It's on their calendar. They get reminders. You get reminders. It's done, right? You don't have to go back and forth. So it's those kind of little things that I think that are really important. And I know at the beginning, I kind of got hung up on it. I'm like, I'm going to send somebody a link. Like, that's so impersonal. It is like the best thing you can possibly do because think about when you get really busy, you're not going to have time. You might have time now, but you're not going to have time later to go back and forth with all these, figuring out the time and the different time zones. And I can go on and on about that, but exactly.
And take it up another level is, a lot of business coaches, and I know I am going to start doing this. I just created this, is creating a form for people to fill out before you meet with them. Yeah. And having that already set up and automated within your process, in the reminder, in the initial confirmation email, you can be like, all right, now please go here. Like, you can let them know, like when they schedule, in that initial email, like you also need to make sure you complete this. form before, to get the best out of our time together. And boom, they get sent this, in the initial confirmation email, they get sent the link to fill out the form. Then the 24, you can set how, when you want them to continue to receive reminders, and they'll get it in that email as well. So that then they can just click on it, and then you have all their information ready to go when you meet, and you've already done half the stuff. You've already covered a lot of the information that you need for the meeting. And so just that, and I'm actually working right now to put that form into my CRM automatically. So having it tied to the client so that I don't have to go back to the form and because I use Google Forms. It's easy, it's simple, it's clean, and it accomplishes what I need. But you can have it automated from Zapier to go to another system to be input for you. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm setting that up right now, actually, as we speak and as we're growing, just to make life even easier and automate that stuff. So we don't have to do data entry. We don't have to copy and paste it over. It's like just boom, the person fills it out. It gets sent over. You just pop it open and boom, you're ready to go. How much time is saved doing that, and it's organized, and you have it together, and you know where to find it.
Exactly.
So that's just huge. And just another thing too, creating a simple system. This is one of my biggest tips for people is just like your physical space. I'm going to actually equate this to the physical space so that people kind of have an understanding of how this translates into the digital space as well. Is, for example, let's say you are somebody who always has dirty laundry on the floor. Like it is just, it's right next to the hamper. It just never makes it in. Or maybe your spouse is like that. And sometimes it's a matter of removing, like maybe there's a lid on your hamper, and that's why. So there's this extra step of having to lift up the lid in the hamper to then throw it in. So let's say you just remove the lid. So it's a simple system. You literally just toss it in. You remove the whole step altogether. So just really going straight to the source and straight to all that, straight to just what you're trying to accomplish there instead of adding in different things. So many people overcomplicate it. So for example, in a digital system, it could be that, they have this file, and within the file is another file, and within a file is another file, and they're naming it this thing, but it's really, they're over-naming it, they're overdoing it, they're overthinking it. And it's like, no, go back to the basics. Let's make this very simple. Let's generalize your file names, and then we can use subfolders to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty, but don't overdo it. And it's something too that we see with our clients over and over and over again is that they file name and then they don't remember what they called it. And it's because they think it. So again, it goes back to simplifying it. And it's like, I always say, I usually show them something, and whether it be a document, email, whatever it is that we're working on. And I'm like, what's the first thing? Like, what do you call this? And that is what you should be calling it. It's the first thing you think of. So for example, if it's an insurance policy for your car, some people call it car insurance. Some people call it auto insurance. Some people call it the car name insurance, like whether you have a Toyota or whatever. And that's all great, but what's the first thing that came into mind for you? And that's what we're going to call it. Like, don't, keep it simple. Just use that. Don't overthink it. Just cause you just keep yourself organized. And then, because for example, let's say you named it car insurance and you call it auto insurance, and you're going through and you're like, I don't see it, because you started, your computer alphabetizes it. So you're looking at the top and you're like, it's not there. Like, where is it? And then all of a sudden you're creating another auto insurance folder. And now you have two. I can't tell you how many times that we've gone into people's computers and they have numerous names for the same thing, just because they're overthinking it, and it's then becoming more complicated. It's more complex then, or they have so many layers that it's too complex. It's like, no. Like, rewind. What can we, a rule of thumb is that if you have to scroll through your main folder page in like your Window Explorer or your Finder, if you're a Mac user, you should have less. That means you need to do general folders and move, like you shouldn't have to scroll is the goal here when you open that window. So generalizing, really re-looking at those folders would be the best option when that starts to happen. So yeah, that's really, there's so many things in the digital space that, email is a whole other thing, right?
What about, can you tell us more about the photos? Like, I know that,
yes,
since we've been out, we take photos all the time on our phones, our smartphones, and then, then there's the cloud and there's all different places. Yes. And I know, especially as moms, I know we've got a lot of moms, business owners watching, they're like, how do I keep track of all these photos that I was taking my kids? Like, yes. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. So what are your tips on that?
Yeah. So finding the right program for automating your backup of your photos to get them off your phone. So really, there's different programs out there and there's pros and cons to each. And Amy will share with you, I do have a course on finding that right program and how step-by-step how to do it. But one of the biggest things is you want to automate that so you don't have to think about it too much. But then also before you upload, before you open that program so that it automatically pulls it over and everything, delete the photos, pick the best of. I know it's such, people are like, oh, it takes so much time. And it's like, but when you're in that moment, let's say you have kids and you took a bunch of pictures that week and you went to a restaurant, whatever you did, you went to the park and you have a bunch of pictures and there's, a bunch of shots and they're just like slightly different where the head's like this way and then it goes this way and they're like this, or they're, fully smiling, whatever it is. It's like that weekend, maybe when you're laying in bed, when you're like going through and you're like, oh, that was so fun or whatever, take the time just to delete them right then and there. Delete the bad ones. Get rid of the screenshots or put them, like I'm a huge advocate for, like when I take a screenshot, there's a purpose for it. And it then needs to go where I need it to go. So like if I need it for notes for later, then I'm putting it into my note system, which I use Evernote. I love it, but it's like taking that photo and doing something with it right away instead of waiting. Because then it's just going to get, again, like your emails, like your files, it's just going to get buried and you're going to lose it. So with your photos, really finding the right solution, starting with your goals. What do you want to be able to do with your photos, and digitize them? Make sure a lot of people have their printed photos still, and even from their families, they're inheriting those pictures. And I can't tell how many times that I've seen them destroyed because of the photo album that they're in. For example, sometimes the ones with the sticky backs, there's like a sticky back and a film over the top, they'll get stuck to it and people will try to take it out and it rips the picture. Or we've had people also, this is an awful story, but we've had people have like a flood, but not an environmental, like, oh, it was a tornado or a hurricane or anything like that. It was a leak in their house while they were out of town. And they lost all their photos because the leak went on for, days. And literally the second floor fell into the first floor floor fell into the basement, which is where all the photos were. Yeah, true story. And this was my boyfriend at the time's parents that this happened to. And they were visiting us when it happened out in San Diego. So, it wasn't anything, it was a bathroom leak that didn't show up until after they left. And so it was an awful, awful thing. That's what they went home to. And, they lost all of that. And what's crazy about photos is you can't recreate those moments that you capture. Yes, you can have memories and things like that, but I can't tell you how many times that I've looked at a photo and I'm like, I don't remember this. Like, I clearly I'm there, I'm in the photo, but where are we? Like, what is this? And nothing, like it was a dance, from high school that I went to. And I don't remember, like, I was like, whose dress is that I'm wearing? Because that wasn't mine. And, and finally I put it together, but without that photo, I would have never remembered that happened. So really, taking care of your photos, backing them up, making sure that you have them in more than one location as well. So as much as I say, yes, use a program, you should also, I suggest having it on an external hard drive. So an on-site backup, meaning locally on an external hard drive that you have in your hand. And then also in the cloud program is your off-site backup. So that, if you're not going to organize them, and at least do that, at least save that, because I did not do that and I lost 4 years of my photos. So all my college pictures are gone because I did not take care of them. So it was a hard lesson to learn. I promised myself I would never do that again. And now I have them backed up in numerous 3 places right now, just because I don't want to take the chance. So it was devastating for me. And the only ones that I was able to salvage are the ones from Facebook. And that was just because I posted that. I can't tell you how many I did not post on Facebook, because that, you don't post everything. So yeah, it's, and like I had another person, just kind of explaining how important this is they had their phone and they had an iPhone and they were using the iCloud, but the iCloud maxed out on space. I don't recommend the iCloud. I recommend the iCloud only for temporary storage. Just little clue, just because they're kind of a mess. And what happened was, yes, I know, Patty, yes, it's looking for, oh no, you're still looking for yours. Oh, when can you upgrade it? That's so terrible. I'm so sorry too. Hopefully you can find them. I know it can be a mess. Try looking for the photos program and right clicking it and say show package contents. And sometimes then you can find them in there. It like is a bunch of folders that pop up. So try that. But also she was, in the car with her kids, and her kid took her phone and deleted her pictures off her phone, and they weren't backed up anywhere. So they were gone. They were deleted. They weren't in the iCloud because she had no iCloud space. So they weren't in anything. She lost them, gone. And their kids, their pictures of her kids that they lost. Like, so it's definitely something you want to make sure that you keep in a sacred place and have backups and backups of backups. It's so easy to lose that.
That's interesting. You're saying I put them on iCloud, but that's temporary storage for backing up from there. That's a good reminder. I think a lot of people use iPhones, and that's something that they probably rely on. So that's a good reminder.
And you can use it as a storage space. I don't recommend it because of the way that they basically, it's kind of that whole, if you delete it, it gets deleted everywhere. And you have to, like, you only have so much storage space on your phone. And iCloud has been better about moving it into the cloud, but still being able to view it. But it's just not as clean, and there's not as much control over that, versus I have probably about a few hundred photos on my phone, like actually stored, taking up space on my phone, because I can view all of mine without taking up space through the program that I use. That's my backup. Like, that's where I organize it. That's where I put them all, and I can see it all there without having to take up storage space on my phone. So iCloud doesn't even have that. They want more money for storage. Yeah. So, and it's worth to invest, but I wouldn't invest in them in terms of for your photos. Again, I use it for backing up just what's on my phone, like my apps, my texts, things like that. And then my photos that are temporarily on there, but ultimately they go elsewhere, where that's a more permanent place and outside. So like when I have kids, or if somebody accidentally deletes something, it's not just gone. I know that there is a recently deleted folder in iCloud, but if you don't have that connection set up, you could literally lose that. So
it's kind of the same thing that we talk about on social media. Like if you're using Facebook or Instagram or any of these social media platforms to talk about your business and you're connecting with people, you don't want that to be the only place that you're connecting with them. You want to make sure that you're connected in other ways. So having them be on your email list, for example, because that's yours. That's something that is your property. That's not, the property of Facebook or Instagram on rented land. So it's kind of the same thing where you're like, okay, we're using iCloud as a temporary storage, which is on Apple, but we want to get that information off of the Apple cloud and make it the iCloud, I should say, and then onto your own space, onto your own hard drive.
Yes.
As that's like a temporary space. It's like the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. And you can use, there's Dropbox, there's Amazon, there's Google Photos, there's all these different programs out there that take your photos from your phone and put them on their server, which is great. But certain ones are better than others. And like I said, join the course if you want to find out more about that, because I really I basically cut to the chase, and I'm like, this is how you do it. This is what you do. This is the program, and this is why. And
that's great.
I just go right through it. So really just, check that out if you're interested at all. If anyone's interested.
I would. Yeah, that makes me. I need to get organized for sure. So I'm really interested about that. And just tell me what to do. Like I could spend hours and hours trying to figure it out on my own. Like just tell me what to do. If you're like that, definitely.
Exactly.
So super simple. And so
very much cut to this. Like I was like, I've done, like, it's literally something that we repeat the system over and over. It's the same thing for every single one of our clients. So it is like, I was like, man, I just need to put this out there because it's really rinse and repeat with every single person. So it will fit. Unless you're a photographer and you need editing like crazy stuff, and that's a different story. Yeah, totally different story. But even like, I know my photographer was like, I need to use this for my personal stuff. Like she was like, ooh, wait a minute. Nope, I get my work stuff is different, but my personal stuff is something else. And I see here, Patty, use a spreadsheet for contacts. When you're a realtor, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example of, like not relying on another system to hold all your information. You hold it with in your own place where it's always going to be backed up. So, rinse and repeat. Exactly. Cool. Yep. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wonderful information and tips and tricks and how we can automate and keep things simple and really save the time to not have to think about things. There's too many decisions in life to think about all these things at the same time. Just get it done, have a process, get it taken care of. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Patty, for all the great questions. And we're going to hop in if you have a couple minutes to join us over in our messenger chat. We're going to hang out for a couple more minutes over there. Feel free to ask your questions in that messenger chat room. I'll paste it over to the comments right now so we can hop over there and have a quick chat, and then that's it. So thank you so much again, Alex, and we'll talk to you in just a few. Next month, all my shows are going to be about financials. April is Financial Literacy Month, and all the shows that I have are scheduled and talking about profit first, about budgeting, all that exciting stuff that maybe we don't really want to talk about, that we're going to really dig into and learn about and understand so we can become better business owners and just grow overall. So thank you so much again, and we'll see you over in the messenger chat. Bye.
That's good. Bye.